blood vessels are named the exact same thing, whether they're arteries or veins. So that cuts down part of the memorization of the name, but you're going to need to know, you're fine, but you will need to know and identify whether it's on your right or the left side of the body. I'm telling you this up front. And you're also going to have to tell me if it's an artery or a vein. Okay? All right, so let's get started with this. So you're going to need to understand the function of the blood vessel and the difference between arteries and veins. We're going to identify the blood vessels on models, and like I said, no right and left when it's appropriate. Next week, we will go and use the cadavers once you've mastered them on the models, and we'll look at these blood vessels in the circulatory system on the cadaver as part of our review for the exam. And then histology. You will need to be able to identify using the slide arteries and veins and know the difference between them. And I don't know where he put that slide, but I will find it for you, or that tray of slides.
I can't even find it.
I'll find those slides for you. I'll go there. Okay, thanks. All right. So we talked about the fact that we have a two circulatory or a two set or circuit system. One system, the right side of our heart, will take blood to the lungs so that
This is the
lung becomes oxygen rich, and then the left side of the heart is going to take that blood and use it to get oxygen to all the cells and to bring the oxygen for blood back. So this is the system that mammals have. It is advanced. Notice that I also have here the word closed system. Our blood never leaves the vessels. It is a closed system. There are some organisms, typically small, less advanced organisms, that have an open system. Like I talked about the fish with the gills having a one-circuit system. Some organisms, like mollusks, I like to throw in a little bit of comparative anatomy, like mussels and clams and things like that, they have an actual open system. So they'll have a pump, the heart, and the blood will leave the vessel and will actually bathe the tissues, and then it'll be collected and it'll make its way back to the heart, and that's how their system works. So the blood will actually leave the vessel, but that's going to restrict the size of the organism. It also is going to restrict where those organisms can live, because in order for us to get enough oxygen to all of those internal cells, we have to have those lungs, and we have to be able to get a lot of oxygen in that system, okay? So the pathway, arteries are going to be coming from the heart. They're going to be larger. They're going to have high pressure. They will branch off into arterioles. The smallest vessels are going to be capillaries. This is where we're going to have oxygen and nutrients and waste products moving from vessels to tissues and tissues to vessels. It's going to be collected in the venules. The venules will collect into the veins, and then it will go back to the heart. Here's kind of a schematic of it. The two things I want to point out to you is velocity. When the blood is coming out of the heart, it is at a higher velocity, and as the vessels get smaller, that velocity is going to drop. It's going to move very slowly through the capillaries, because literally those red blood cells are moving through one at a time. And then as our veins collect it, it's going to start moving a little bit faster, mostly because of the diameter of the vessel. as venules become veins, they're gonna become larger and it's gonna flow faster. Here you can see pressure. The pressure is high in the arteries. What do you think these bumps are up and down? High pressure, low pressure, high pressure, low pressure. What do you think's causing that variation in pressure?
The heartbeat?
Please?
The heartbeat?
The heartbeat, exactly. The ventricle is contracting, so it's gonna come out with great force. And when it comes out with great force, that blood vessel is going to expand. And then when the ventricle relaxes, that pressure drops and the artery contracts. Vessel, or the ventricle contracts, it's gonna expand again. I always like to think of those cartoons where, they have the water coming through the hose and it's gonna hit someone in the face. I always like to think of our blood moving through like that also, where there's this big bulge or surge of blood making its way through the vessel, and then it's gonna contract again, okay? So that is the heartbeat. Notice that the pressure is gonna decrease and those vessels are becoming smaller and the walls are becoming thinner. So if the pressure stays high, then it's literally gonna blow out those vessels. And then when we get to the veins, it's going to be very, very low pressure, okay? And when we look at the veins, we're gonna see that the walls are so thin compared to the arteries. So one of the things, once we find the slides, we're gonna put out, you will need to know the difference between arteries and veins, and you will need to know the layers of the arteries and veins. Because the arteries are larger and the layers are more distinct, those will be where we point out the different layers. Okay, so let's look at this artery right here. Well, you know what, I'll point this out. Often, arteries and veins are going to lie close to one another. Here's an artery, see how thick the walls are, and there's a lot of smooth muscle and elastic material in there, so it can stretch as that push of blood comes through. And here is the vein. Okay, very thin, low pressure, slower velocity. Again, artery, vein. The arteries are typically going to be nice and round and thick. Okay, this inner layer, notice how it has kind of an irregular shape to it. That is the elastic lining, so that when the ventricle contracts, it can expand out without tearing, okay? So the layers of the artery are going to be the tunica intima, the tunica media, and the tunica media is made up of a lot of smooth muscle and elastic material. And again, the elastic material so that it stretches and contracts. The smooth muscle is going to be so that these arteries can contract and dilate depending on the amount of blood flow that needs to move through it. And then the tunica externa. Here's another picture so you can see the different layers of it, okay? And then notice on the vein, we have the same layers, but they are much thinner because there is so much less pressure that is going to be involved there. Okay, and then what I did is I just found lots of pictures to help you to identify it. To me, the easiest thing to do is find the artery and identify this is the lumen here. Everything in here, these are just red blood cells, okay? It's hard to take a cut of an artery without getting a lot of red blood cells in there. So you're gonna see them in the lumen. So identify your lumen, and then you can identify your layers. Tunica intima, tunica media, tunica adventitia. There are some more slides that's to help you identify those layers. And again, look for your lumen, but notice that, again, there's blood inside of them, okay? But identify that, and then you can identify your layers. See how all the layers kind of merge together here, okay? But here, you can easily identify your 3 layers. Okay? So these are just to help you to study. One thing that your lab manual talks about is the vasa vasorum, and this is when you have the large arteries in the body, they are very thick, and those blood vessels also need to be supplied with, the cells need to be supplied with food and oxygen. So they are going to have vessels that are feeding them and taking waste materials away from it, okay? Again, like I said, just pictures to help you out, okay? So that's one of the things that you're gonna need to do, is get out the scopes and make sure you can identify the difference between artery and vein. On the models, it'll be easy, because they're going to be color-coded for you. On the cadavers, we'll be able to show you the difference by touching them. The arteries are going to be round and full, and when you touch them, they're going to basically bounce back. The veins are going to be very collapsed when we look at them on a cadaver. Okay, so I always tell you all, I like very concrete, visual ways of remembering things. I like to think of the circulatory system like a stream system, where you have creeks that come together. And every time 2 creeks merge, you get a new name for that creek. And when those creeks merge, you get a new name for that creek, or those rivers merge. And blood vessels are going to work the same way. So what you're going to look for is the area that you find it on the model or on a cadaver, and where you see them branching or merging, okay? So let's look at the aorta coming off of the heart. And I said we're going to start working on this. So we have the heart down here, and here is the ascending aorta. And notice right away, the coronary arteries are going to come off of there, and they're going to feed the heart, okay? When we get to the arch of the aorta, we talked about these. We have the brachiocephalic artery, and notice here it branches, and now we have 2 new names, right subclavian artery and right common carotid artery. Common carotid will feed the head, and the right subclavian is going to start branching off after it comes underneath the right clavicle right here, okay? The second branch that comes off is the left common carotid artery. And then behind that is the left subclavian artery. So you can see it here coming under the clavicle. Is everyone okay with that? All right. My arrows are so-so. Let's work this. Okay, here's the aorta. The first branch off is a brachiocephalic, and it's going to branch. Here's right common carotid, and here is the right subclavian. So notice it's coming under the clavicle, and when it starts branching here, right at the armpit, in this area, it is going to be called the axillary. So this is right axillary, okay? Then we see more branching, and now we're running along the humerus. It is the right brachial artery. Is everyone okay with that? You can see the difference. And you have body that you can use. Here's your clavicle, here's where the humerus attaches, so here's the armpit, and here is the humerus. So brachial is gonna run on the inside. I'll use this one more time. So we have brachiocephalic, subclavian going under the clavicle, axillary. Here's the brachial coming along on the inside of the humerus, and then we're gonna have two more branches that you need. You do need the radial artery and the ulnar artery. Okay? So remember, radial, thumb side, and ulnar is pinky side. Is everyone okay with that? All right. Let's make our way down then. So behind the aortic arch, we have our descending aorta. It's going to come through the diaphragm right here. And the first vessel is actually a trunk, and there are 3 arteries coming off of that. We're going to call this the cephalic, the celiac trunk. Sorry, I'm not reading today. The celiac trunk, okay? I always think of Celtics and 3-leaf clover. That's what I think of. So if that helps you remember it, go for it, okay? So, the 3 that are going to come off of this, and I have a better picture of it in a few, is the hepatic artery, which is going to feed what? What organ is affected if you get hepatitis? The liver, okay? Hepatic liver. Gastric artery, what might that be? Stomach. And then the splenic artery. Okay, good. All right, we got it now. All right. Underneath the trunk, we're going to have the superior mesentery. The mesentery, when we look at the small intestine, is this big membranous tissue that is going to be connected to all of the small intestine, and it's filled with blood vessels, okay? So superior mesentery is going to feed the small intestine and the ascending and transverse colon, okay? And then we see the right and the left renal arteries coming off. And then below the superior mesentery, we're going to find the inferior mesentery. Again, it's feeding the mesentery, but it's going to be feeding the descending colon. Okay? The aorta at this point, we're going to call the abdominal aorta. Everyone okay with that? Now notice it's going to split, so we're going to rename it. At that split, we're going to call it the right and left common iliac arteries. Okay? Right about here in the pelvic area. It splits again. Right exterior iliac artery, right interior iliac artery, and then it mirrors on the other side. But here, if you're looking at the abdominal aorta, here you can see the celiac trunk, gastric, splenic, and hepatic. Okay, so they're all coming off there. Here's your superior mesentery. Here are your renals up here, and inferior mesentery, and then that split. Everyone okay with that? All right. These are just to help you, give you a little extra, sometimes different graphics, make it nice. You know, it might make a little bit more sense. Here, you can see the superior mesentery, so you can see it's feeding the small intestine and the ascending and okay? Again, if you are into traffic, sometimes this will help things make sense for you, okay? Especially because it shows what it's feeding. Okay, so here's our common iliac, right common iliac. Notice here it branches, and that is the external and the internal iliac arteries. And then, once it comes through the pelvic girdle, we're going to see it branch again. At that point, we have our femoral or femoral, depending on who's doing the lecturing. Which one are you? Femoral, okay. So, here is your femoral artery coming down, so right femoral artery. Okay? And it mirrors itself on the other side. Okay? And you can see that we have commonalities. Okay? So when we talk about the veins making their way back up, we're going to have our femoral vein. We're also going to add this great saphenous vein on the inside. We are going to then, as they merge together, we are going to be at our external iliac vein that is coming up through the pelvic girdle. You can see the internal iliac vein, the common iliac, and then we're going to have our inferior vein cava. Okay, so let's look at our veins. We'll see where we're familiar with names, but here we have to identify them as veins. And again, what side? So I'm going to go in the opposite way. I like how they collect. Okay, here, running along the femur is our right brachial vein. Okay. Your lab manual is adding one more for the vein. Here is our sphalic vein, and that's going to be on the outside of the femur or the outside of the arm. When the brachial merges here, we're now going to call it the right axillary vein. You see the merge right here. At that point, it is the right subclavian vein. Okay? When the external and internal jugulars are added, then we are at the brachiocephalic vein. The same thing happens on this side. When the two right and left brachiocephalic veins merge together, we are at the superior vena cava. Names are the same, their function is different, but they're going to be right and left. Okay. Again, if this helps you with where they are breaking, here's brachial. You see that merge, axillary. You see that merge, subclavian. The internal and external jugulars come in. Then we have brachiocephalic, and then superior vena cava. The only thing I want to point out here is we will also have the radial vein right here, thumb side, and the ulnar vein, pinky side. Okay? Again, they're going to run parallel with the arteries. When we look at the inferior vena cava, we're going to make our way up. The ones that you're going to see on the cadaver are going to be the right and left veins, so we'll have those for the kidneys or renal, and then we're going to find that this system's going to be a little bit different, where the spleen is going to, and the superior and inferior mesenteric are going to dump into that portal vein that is going to the liver, okay? So hepatic, think of Okay, so you can see how they're going to all merge and take, the blood up to that hepatic portal. For the legs, we already kind of looked at this one, femoral, greater saphenous. When they merge, we are at the external iliac, right external iliac vein. Here is the internal iliac, and then when they merge together, we're at the common. And up here, we're at the inferior vena cava. And then we talked about, the, blood vessels for the heart earlier, well, last week. So we're going to have pulmonary arteries taking oxygen-poor blood to the lungs. It's going to be oxygenated, and then it will come back into the left side of the heart through the pulmonary veins. And there's a close-up for the jugular. And again, a schematic that might help you with knowing your vessels and what they're feeding. And then there's some cadaver pictures on there that are labeled for you. And like I said, next week we'll go over it. So what I thought was helpful is to take everything that's in the lab manual and kind of lay it out to make sure that you are aware of all of the arteries you need and all the veins that you need to know. So again, this part of it, unfortunately, is a bunch of memorizing, but terminology is similar, but you're gonna have to be able to identify right from left and veins from arteries. Okay, so what do we have to get done today? Make sure that we look at those blood vessels, make sure we look at the models, and we know that histology and the layers of the vessels. Next week, we will have a mock exam set up in here that you will have time to look at. We will take time to look at the blood vessels and the heart in the cadaver, hopefully some lymph nodes in the cadaver, and if you have questions on any of the things, let me know. It will be a good time to go back and remember the system.
Just but it has to be double spaced.
System. And that was our first week, so that's
I would personally just open up the format that's already in MLA. You know that? And I would just copy and paste it.
But yeah, like, I understand that. I know how to do it as well, like, from memory, but the thing is, I forgot I was supposed to double space it. So now this is 6 pages, not double space. How much do you think this is gonna come out to? Double space it.
Why'd you write so much?
Because this is just my rough draft. Because I'm just typing everything I know. Everything I know. That's not what my actual.
Here they are. Good grief. I don't think everything's out that needs to be out for us. But we have some arms and legs. I'm gonna find them. Along with the slides, we're going to find, but,
Oh, I thought she meant actual ones. I got scared.
the arm blood vessels, we're gonna need these. I'm gonna go find the rest of these, and I will put them on that front table. And we can go from there and get what we need. But in order to see the radial, in the ulnar and brachial, you're gonna need to look at this.
Everything's making me mad today. I don't think I can do this. I think I'm actually gonna like strangle someone, hopefully myself, because I'm over it.
Yeah.
I'm so stressed. This is not fun.
Professor Williams.
Stupid.
Don't worry about it.
Doctor.
Everyone's.
She does not earn that title. She did not earn it.
After your exam, yes.
so much going on today. It's actually like I'm gonna crash out.
Work right after English.
Right. Like I had this today. We have the exam in lecture. We have the paper, the rough draft due in English.
And peer review.
We have peer review today.
My thing's not working. Like, I can't even get my laptop.
And I close today. And I've gotten no sleep, so what?
You need to study more of the heart.
I don't know anything. I'm not retaining anything because it doesn't make sense. Oh, and I had to throw away my freaking coffee because she doesn't let me freaking drink it. I'm actually crashing out. I'm so crashing out. Crashing out.
For what? You have it written already.
Yeah, but it's not ready. I hope she doesn't choose who we have as peer review because knowing her, she's gonna be like, guys, I'm so original. We're gonna do it with people you've never talked to.
Okay, well, at least you don't have to. Last year, the last semester I had, English professors was very bad. I'm gonna be on every exam, even after the
It's okay.
I think you're just stressing yourself out.
Yeah, I know I am, but like also I have no
What
sleep.
do you need help on?
Just, I don't like it. I want to like just erase it all and rewrite it.
See it.
No, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Why is you have 6 pages?
I erased like half of it, not gonna lie. I have like almost 3,000 words.
600 and 900 words.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get mine too. I never thought I'd hear that sentence so much.
I'm gonna go get the leg model also.
Even the sky is falling down. Why? I'm actually, okay, it's fine.
Should I just like send it over? Like,
Why? Okay, now I just need to like sum it up. That way it's not.
you don't got time to sum it up, girl. This is a draft.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know that, but it's like this is very like not
Yo, there's
interesting.
no more time.
This is not interesting.
Oh my gosh, I was trying to use the Starbucks app this morning. Get Starbucks
Of course you were.
chill. Starbucks right to my house. And it was like glitching. It kept having me break the app. And it wouldn't go away even after I waited it. And it just
Ew, just give me.
no, one of the suggestions for like the rating was like when the app freezes and stuff. And I'm like, oh, it's literally it. I put rating on it every single time and it wasn't working.
Dang, it was preying on your downfall. I don't know why. Can this freaking work?
If you are looking at arms and legs.
Oh yeah, I need to do that.
Showing nerves. And they're a lot of times running parallel, okay? So.
Guys, look at the leg.
We need to make a dirt shot.
Yeah, you're right. Well. Oh, I didn't make my works cited page. I think I'm just anxious. It's literally like not even that stressful. I just have really bad anxiety and that's stressing me out. Yeah, that should be fun. And then 12, and then that, and then double space. Right? That looks fine. Oh, she said you could do a different font. She said like one of 3 fonts. And Times New Roman Loki gives me trauma, so. Okay, that looks fine. That looks like what it's supposed to look like. Downregulation is when there's too many hormones. And so what happens is that your body gets rid of some of the receptors. That way it's not like bombarded by hormones, you know what I mean? And then upregulation.
So it leads to more receptors with greater affinity or leads to less receptors.
For downregulation? Yeah, downregulation, you're trying to get rid of some of the receptors because you have way too many hormones. Greater affinity is just how well they bind to each other. Page break. Page break. Where the freak is a page break? It's how well the hormones connect to the receptors. That's like, ask me about the endocrine system, I got you, but like everything else I don't got you. I know some about the blood, nothing about the heart. Because that's kind of just when your body is doing it over and over again just because it wants to, and then it's like an off switch. It's like it decides to just turn it on, and then once it finally gets what it needs to get out of its body, it's like, okay, let's turn off the switch, let's stop it. Think oxytocin. When your body is under pressure trying to give birth, it'll just flip the switch and it'll be constant oxytocin, right? Because the baby just keeps pushing and just keeps pushing. That stimulates more oxytocin. And then once the baby's out, the pressure stops. So they're like, okay, well, we're done. Let's just flip it off and just stop. Do you know negative feedback loops? It's like, let's just say something is going on in your body, right? Like your body keeps monitoring it, and then it's like, okay, something's wrong. Like, we don't have enough of this, so let's produce more of whatever you need. So let's say your blood sugar's low. They're like, okay, let's check up on it. Is it good? It's not. Okay, then we need to produce some more glucagon. And then it just keeps producing glucagon up until it gets to its balance again, and that's when it stops. No, because I only did the endocrine system. That's literally it. What is it? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
For lecture?
Page break.
My attendance is disappointing. Like, I can't find it.
Oh. Even with the sky is falling down. Is that just how I do it? Oh, yeah, you're right. See, it's trying to trick me, but I don't. It is alphabet. FHIJKLMNOP. Wait, I think I forgot some of the alphabet. It's fine. Loki forgot how to do hanging indent. Hold on, it's here somewhere.
That's pretty easy. What happens if someone has?
I feel like if I do the regular time, wait, no, it's not gonna work.
Some of this is obvious, but I don't think it's gonna be obvious. I would drop it for like a funny.
Ah.
The module exam number 1. Oh yeah, that's
And
not
then-
yeah. Wait, you're doing the second exam too.
Yeah, the first one is harder than the second.
Guys, I don't know how to do page break. You know what? I'm just gonna put a tab. I know what it is. I just like didn't have time, so it's fine. See, done. Went from 6 pages to 2, so we're just gonna.
No, I get it. I know it's not a case.
See, acting towards people look at me go, got it right.
No, I get it, but it isn't.
Oh shoot! You know what? This doesn't matter to me anymore. Paracrines? It's autocrines. Autocrines are the ones that act in the cell that they were secreted from. Then paracrines act on the cells that are nearby.
Why can't you just like switch brains with me?
No, you don't. Like, do you know anything about hearts or like the blood systems? I don't know that. Like I'm telling you, I don't know anything about chapter 18 or 17. I only know chapter 16. Right, and you guys can tell me like, no, you're gonna get 100. Like, no, I'm not.
What is the function of the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone?
What the freak?
What even kind of word is that?
I've accepted my fate.
Alpha cells are glucagon, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Ovaries, estrogen, that's easy.
I'm stressed.
And O2 molecules carry 4, right?
I thought it was 4. What the freak? Someone take a picture of that if it's not in the slides. I don't know if it's in the slides. It is. Okay. Even when the sky is iron. Iron?
Why are you so smart?
Because I tried to do this in the morning and I failed it. Guys.
So these questions are
You have to find the model that has what you're looking for.
In the eye of the hurricane was flying. What is it? Erythropoietin? I think it's the process of making red blood cells, right? Because it sounds like an erythrocyte. Erythropoietin. I think that's the process of making red blood cells.
blood viscosity increase O2 carrying
It would increase.
blood pressure.
Viscosity increases because you'd have more blood cells making it thicker, so higher viscosity, right? How thick it is. Yeah, like instead of it being like liquid, like you're used to it being, it'd be like thicker.
I just need to know the terms because I'm like, I don't even know what viscosity means. Like, that's what people.
Hold on. I wish this was just over the endocrine system because I would do so good. Okay, glucogenesis. Right, like what the frick is that? Glucogenesis kind of sounds like. No. What does it sound like? It sounds like glucose and genesis is like some kind of thing with food.